David Bruckner's 2020 horror film The Night House was a surprisingly enjoyable film for me. We're going to explore this film, the good, the bad, and the jump scary. And what that means is that there are going to be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, please do. And then come back here. So first off, the film is directed by David Bruckner. If that name doesn't ring any bells, he also did The Ritual, another fun addition to the horror genre. But that one's about a group of male friends who get into serious trouble. The Night House isn't like The Ritual in that sense. It's a very individual story, a pretty lonely story. I like horror, especially when there are science fiction elements to it. And I also like my horror stories to take their time. Don't rush me. I'm immersing myself in your story's universe. I don't want it to start with a car crash or have a bunch of characters I need to meet right away. Take your time. Usually the best horror is one that focuses on a single character. I'm not saying you can't have an ensemble cast with good results. The Thing comes to mind. Shameless plug, check out my other video, The Thing vs. Alien. But generally horror is a dish best served cold and alone. Cold and alone. There's just something less scary when the characters are in a group. Haven't you ever noticed how groups tend to split up in horror films? They basically have no choice. If they stayed together, it would reduce the scariness factor by about 40%, in my view. Still a little scary, but not really scary. Sometimes you can get away with having an adult with a child in the movie. That's still scary because the child's not going to fight off the monster. And then we get to worry about the kid. That's stressful. It adds to the horror. But for my money, horror is best when we've got one vulnerable character. They're scared, they're alone, and there's something scary out there trying to get them. In The Night House, Beth, played by Rebecca Hall, is grieving the recent loss of her husband, Owen, to suicide. Rebecca Hall's performance in this movie is great. She may be the best part of this film, and I'm not sure many others could have pulled this off. Her acting is believable, and you really care for her character. We get to spend a lot of time with Beth, learning how she feels. She lives in a home that looks like a cottage by the lake, by the way. She has a neighbor, another great performance, this time by Vondie Curtis Hall. More on this neighbor and this lost opportunity later. He seems to genuinely care about her, and she has a friend, but that's about it. You can feel the emptiness in her loss. Okay, character development complete. What sets The Night House apart from most other horror films? It's the mystery element. The film does a good job of setting it up. Why did her husband have pictures of women that look like her? Why did he build a house that looks like it's theirs, only in reverse? The mystery is my favorite part of the film. Driving to the bookstore where her husband bought books on the occult, learning more about keeping demons at bay. This is all great stuff. Here again, the movie takes its time, and appropriately so. We don't have an expert on demons conveniently show up and explain it. Beth has to piece it together, piece by piece. And so we as the audience have to as well, which is as it should be. There's also what has to be the best audio jump scare I've ever experienced in a movie. Sure, you're expecting the regular visual jump scare by now, but that one audio jump scare, you know the one, comes out of nowhere. It's genuinely scary and surprising. Congratulations, movie. You got me. But back to the mystery. I like the world building. That in this world there are books and manuals on how to contain demons. And they work. Kind of. There's a contorted, creepy doll, an inverted house, and all of this confuses the demons. That's cool to me. I can imagine a whole subculture that works to protect people from the occult. The film also forces uncomfortable concepts. Just how far would Owen go to protect his wife? Well, we know the choice husband Owen made. It's pretty horrible. It's not left ambiguous either. Owen lured lots of women to this mirror image house, and he murdered them, and he left their bodies to rot there. Yuck. Worse, their souls are imprisoned. We see their ghosts or spirits, whatever. These women are trapped, maybe forever. And this wasn't an accident. Owen would have known about this. Geez, he read enough books about the topic. That's creepy. You know what else it is? It's good horror. And then we get the final chapters of the film. Oh. The last quarter of any horror movie is the hardest to get right. And before I go and complain endlessly, remember, I think The Night House is a good movie. The ending is good. Good enough. It's fine. But I wanted more. I wanted an A to A plus, and I got a B here. B's okay, but it's not an A. There's too much telling and not enough showing. I'm all for world building, but not in the final innings. Twists are fine. M. Night Shyamalan made a career out of them, but ideally the emotional content of the film should crescendo. They do it here, but I wasn't fully satisfied. It's like when you go to the restaurant. Excellent appetizers, solid main course, but the dessert is pudding. Pudding? Pudding's good, but it's not going to knock your socks off. Okay, so if I didn't love the ending, what would have worked better? I would have liked to see more of the neighbor. Curtis Hall's character is compelling. He plays Mel in the film, by the way. That's his name, Mel. There's mystery in Mel. I actually spent most of the film thinking there'd be more to Mel, that he was bad. He just seemed to have great potential for creepiness. Maybe he killed Owen, or he wants Beth to himself, or he's in league with the demon. Yeah, any of those. Maybe many of those. I was so disappointed when it turned out he was a good guy. Yeah, my expectations were subverted, but in a bad way. Also, I wouldn't have interacted with the demon as directly, or as often. I think keeping this thing out of sight, out of reach, kept it really creepy. Less is more with this demon. Have a human being do violent or scary stuff, not the demon. Like the neighbor. Have the neighbor do violent stuff. Yeah, that would have been better. It's a subtle movie, after all. It's about grief. It's about death. Creep me out. I don't need Beth to directly confront the demon. Scare me. If they wanted to stretch it out, the film, give me more world building on demonology. Have me meet a priest or something, or there's a cult. But that can get corny very fast. No, never mind. Keep it subtle, the neighbor, and increase the scare factor in the last chapters. We also learned very little about the women Owen killed. Could we have met their families? Are the families played by demon stuff too? These are all just opportunities. The ending is too ambiguous for me. Does it represent that death is always out there? Grief will always haunt you? Good concepts. The idea is good. I just feel like it was missing some punch. Regardless, Rebecca Hall knocked this one out of the park. It was a good slow burn. I love the mystery, and it's definitely worth a watch and repeat viewings. So that's The Night House, a solid addition to the horror science fiction catalog. If you like this, press like and hit subscribe. There'll be more.